A ver, hijo, ven, no le sé.
Welcome, everyone. We're getting right about 5 o'clock. I think we'll give it just another couple of minutes so that people can continue to join us.
I want to know where Miss Kathy is, that it's not snowing. Miss Kathy, your background is a beautiful river and bridge.
It's
No
in Costa
snow where you
Rica.
are.
No,
Thank you for being here tonight.
thank you.
Hello.
¿Alguien tiene alguna pregunta en español antes de empezar? Si quieren pasar a el otro cuarto donde va a estar el señor traduciendo todo. Si alguien necesita ayuda, ¿cómo llegar ahí?
Sí.
¿Quién dijo sí?
Rosalba Pérez, mamá de
Rosalba,
Eduardo.
hola.
Hola.
Abajo, si ves tu pantalla, hay unos iconos que como una ruedita que parece el mundo que dice interpretación.
Ah, sí. Ajá.
Ahí le haces clic
Ujú.
y ahí escoges. Es que dice español, inglés.
Ah, ok.
Escoge el de español, el señor Policarpo está ahí haciendo toda la traducción.
Gracias.
Ajá.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to our meeting. Welcome. I'm Trish Winter. I teach 4th grade at Summit Cove, and I am hosting our meeting and organizing high trails for the district this year. And I have to tell you, I'm super excited that our 5th graders can join us as well.
No video.
I had to mute for a barking dog. Super glad that everyone is here. We have a couple of High Trails staff here. Logan is here and Cody Maynard. They're going to share with us a presentation about High Trails so that you can get a look at it for yourself. And they're going to share some vital information, things that you might be wondering about. At the end of the presentation, we will have time for questions to be answered by High Trails staff. In the meantime, if you think of something that you are wondering, feel free to put any questions in the chat. I'm going to categorize them and try and summarize, and then I will share those questions out kind of on the collective behalf so that High Trails can answer those for us at the end. And then I should probably pause. If you happen to have a question that's of a more personal nature, we realize that there are many differences. That is something that you can do via email, and we'll share those email addresses at the end. Awesome. Do you think we should start, or should we give it another minute or two? All right, I'm going to turn it over to Logan and Cody. Thanks again for coming, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Trish. And Trish put a little message in the chat saying that if anyone has any questions that you want to ask as they're coming up, feel free to drop them in the chat. She'll kind of curate those and we'll get to those at the end of the slideshow. But first, I'm just going to introduce myself. I'm Logan. I've been one of the directors up here at High Trails since 2017. I'm from Kentucky originally and got my degree in natural resource management. My experience is mostly in guiding and working with the Forest and National Park Service. And have been up here, as I said, since 2017, and I'm very excited for this spring of 2022 coming up. So we'll start off with our history, the history of Sanborn. This older looking gentleman out of the group in the top left corner of your screen is Sandy Sanborn. He was a member of the 10th Mountain Division in World War II, and he is the founder of Sanborn Western Camps and what is now Colorado Outdoor Education Center, which is what High Trails falls under. That's our umbrella organization. He started that camp in 1948 and bought a plot of land up here in Florissant, Colorado at 12 cents an acre when he first bought it. And it has since grown to 60,000 privately owned acres. And we are surrounded on all sides by national forest land and the Florissant Fossil Beds National Monument. Pretty soon after he started that boys' summer camp in 48, the boys' sisters were all clamoring for the camp of their own, and High Trails Ranch for Girls started in the early 60s. And then they were very interested in working with the school groups that were all around them and wanted to start an outdoor education center, which opened up in 1967 and became a nonprofit in 1999.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name's Cody. I'm also on the leadership team with High Trails. I was a teacher for the last 6 years, bringing my students to High Trails, and I'm so excited to have joined the leadership team. I'm from St. Louis originally, but I call Colorado home. I'd love to share with you and build on what Logan just introduced you to with our property up in Florissant. There's 4 main components of our mission and vision at High Trails, and of course, that very first one is that sense of earth. We're so lucky to share our 6,000 acres of beautiful property as a part of our education center, connecting students to the wilderness, to the nature, and to the outdoors.
Thanks for the correction, Cody. 60,000 is much bigger than we originally. Sense of community is our second part of our mission and vision statement. So the students that come up here that obviously know their teachers and the students that are in their classroom with them from school, but spending time together in the outdoors, being overnight in a cabin with each other, eating meals together in a family style, all of that adds to the part of this experience, which is fostering a deeper relationship with those people.
Sense of self. For a lot of students, this might be their first trip away from parents, guardians. And so really we celebrate that exploration of self-identity, who we are, and how that really is a key component of being in nature and in our program.
And our final goal that we have for everyone that comes to High Trails, and this one is the one we talk about the most, and is, I would say, the most important, is to develop a sense of wonder. And this is developing the students' natural curiosity about the world around them, getting them to ask questions and be curious about the things that are in the natural world. And this photo, Cody's giving me a weird look because this photo kind of looks like this girl is actually scrolling on an iPhone.
It does, Logan.
But what she's really doing is she's using her sense of wonder to explore a fossil that she's found. So that sense of wonder really ties in nicely there. But since we're on the subject of phones, it is worth noting that High Trails is a totally tech-free environment. We do not have phones or iPads or any of those screens that we might have at a traditional school setting. This is a place for us to connect to nature and to each other. And in order to do that, we request that there are no screens with the students.
Good job there, Logan. I love it. Florissant, Colorado is located on Highway 24. We're right behind the National Monument, the Florissant Fossil Beds, and then the 11,000 acres of Pike National Forest. You can see Pikes Peak there in the distance. We've got tons of gorgeous pine forests, aspen groves, and beautiful rocky bluffs and high points across property.
We also have a collection of high schoolers from Summit High School that will be coming up to help us out. These high schoolers are incredibly vital to the High Trails program. They help our staff to teach the lessons, and they help facilitate really the entire experience for the students. And on the next slide, you can see that there is a lot of energy required in being a High Trails counselor. They come up here and really just give us their all for 3 days straight, and we are incredibly thankful for them and excited to have them up.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the cabins. You can see this is one of our standard cabins. We have a couple of different variations, but this is what we mainly have. 2 ridges at our camp of cabins down the ridge. You'll see here the red doors, the entranceway into the different side bunks. This is one of the side of that cabin through the red door. You can see here the bunk beds. We have room for 10 students and 2 high schoolers to each have their own bed is a part of our cabin side, as well as a locker. You can see those lockers there, a spot for each student to unpack, get really organized, try and get organized as they get comfortable at camp and unpack all of their belongings. Behind those 2 red doors and the cabin sides, the back is connected with the bathroom. You'll see here individual shower stalls, the sinks down the middle, and then individual toilet stalls. The cabins are heated and do have hot water, so it's really nice accommodations. In the front of the cabin between those red doors is the living room. You'll see here with the fireplace and the 2 beds. This is where the teachers or the chaperones from the school or staff from the school, this is where they stay. And then this is also where at the end of the day, we collect up, do some reflections, talk about the day. We talk about the schedule of events for the coming day. And then of course, we like to share snacks and maybe even some of those delicious s'mores.
So our High Trail staff are a dedicated and experienced group of outdoor educators that all have spent time working with children in the outdoors. Many of them this coming season will have already been on our property and know the ins and outs of the trail system and what we're about here at High Trails. But they also all have their FBI background check done on them, as well as their COVID vaccine.
Our staff have a lot of fun, don't they, Libby? All right, this is one of my other favorite buildings. This is the lodge. This is the lodge where we have our meals while everyone's at camp. Here you'll see one of our cabin groupings who is helping out for the meal. This is our Able Waiter program, where we have different groups of students throughout the time at camp coming early to the meal, eating early, and then helping distribute all of that food and make sure that everyone is having a great experience at the meal. We are family style, so you'll see in the top corner this window and that window. This is where our delicious food is coming out of to be served at each one of those cabin grouping tables. We do have an amazing kitchen coordinator who does a phenomenal job with dietary restrictions. We have a vegetarian option at every single meal. And then we also have a very specialized dietary connection to any student that makes that very, very clear on their medical form and on their forms that they fill out for camp, which we'll talk about a little bit more when we get further along. The food is delicious. As you can see, everybody's excited, and we love to make sure that everybody has a full tummy. We also have in the lodge a fruit bowl where if anybody's hungry between meals, there's a snack there for them as well.
So this is our health center. As you can see, we affectionately refer to as Penicillin Palace, and they're on the sign. But we have 3 nurses that are coming for this spring. The 2 nurses that we had last fall are returning, as well as 1 additional nurse. And they're going to be there full-time on call when the students are there to help administer any medications the students might need to take, as well as help with any bumps or bruises that happen along the way. There is a med form that will be passed out with the paperwork packets. Our med form has 2 white sheets and then a pink sheet on the back. The 2 front white sheets will need to be filled out by everybody. The pink sheet is for any student that has a prescribed medication that they'll need to take when they're up here. And if you do need to send up that medication with your student, it'll need to come in its original packaging, and that pink sheet will need to get signed off on by a doctor.
All right. So now some of those logistics, I do always like to add in here as well from the health center that on our website, we have a health and wellness tab. And that tab on the website also just goes through all of the different protocols and procedures we've had in place this fall to make sure that camp is a safe spot there. All right. Logan, did you want to start off and talk about setting the mood?
I will, yeah. So setting the mood is one of our first discovery groups that every group will come on. And just so we got a lot of folks out there, it might be helpful just if everyone hits mute. I think we've got a couple people that are projecting. But setting the mood is the first discovery group that we'll do with everyone that comes up. And it's really a chance for the students to get used to learning in an outdoor classroom. It's a chance for them to sort of get into all of their senses, using their 5 senses as well as their sense of wonder. And one of the activities we always do with those students that is one of my favorites is called Find Your Tree. And in Find Your Tree, the students will be lined up conga line style, as you can see here, and they'll be blindfolded. And our high schoolers and our staff will lead them into an aspen grove, and they'll each be assigned to their own specific aspen tree. Once they're there, they will be asked to observe their tree using all of their senses, except of course for their sense of sight. So students will get really excited. They will feel the tree, of course. They'll also often knock on the tree and see what it sounds like. So they really get creative with it. And it's just a chance for them to connect with something in nature, as well as, again, opening up all of those other senses and to exploring the outdoors. At the end of that night,
Can I
we
pause you
always-
for a moment?
yes,
Sorry, we have some Spanish speakers who need direction getting into the
go for it.
translation room. So Kathy, can you direct some families there?
Los que necesiten ayuda al moverse el cuarto de español, si pueden abajo donde están los iconos que dice participantes, el chat, cómo compartir, hay una ruedita que dice que parece la forma del mundo. En esa ruedita le hacen clic y escogen donde dice español. ¿Sí me pueden escuchar?
Sí.
¿Lo vieron abajo?
Mi computadora no tiene ese icono que dices tú del...
Hay uno que, bueno, si no tienes el que aparece el mundo, hay uno donde uno pone las caritas felices, donde dice reacciones. Hay uno que dice inglés. Si le haces clic en ese, te sale uno
Mi
que dice
computadora
español
tampoco
inglés.
lo tiene, disculpa.
¿Tampoco?
Ah,
Trata de hacer el mouse hacia abajo, porque a veces se desaparece esa barra y cuando lo haces hacia abajo se vuelve a aparecer.
What are the plans for
No,
that?
no lo tengo. O sea, ya di todo hasta abajo y no. Solo tengo participantes, chat y share. Y share y salir del programa.
¿Me puede otra vez repetir, por favor?
Sí, claro, abajo, si tienes un mouse o tu dedo, o te mueves abajo donde está la barra que dice que tiene el micrófono, que tiene el video, participantes. Hay uno que dice chat o comentarios. Hay uno que dice compartir imagen. Ya sé. Espérate.
¿No la tiene la otra?
Una que dice inglés o que tiene una ruedita como en forma del mundo.
Entonces no la tiene.
No, es que hay algunas computadoras que no lo tenemos.
No, no lo tiene tampoco esta.
Tampoco.
No,
O sea, ¿cuántos iconos tienes abajo? ¿Solo tres?
solo
Yo
tres.
nada más
Ok, entonces
lo
ahora,
que es micrófono, cámara, participantes, el chat.
Y
eso
share
es lo que es.
y
Y
salir.
share, ajá.
Solo esos tenemos, no tenemos alguno otro diferente.
y estás en la pantalla grande.
Sí.
Sí.
Arriba dice, a ver,
Kathy, do you need to unshare my screen? Would that make it easier?
Es que hay un casito de eso.
no, it's okay. It's the, in the bottom, when they have to hit the English, Spanish, they don't have that little tab.
Hola, ¿sí estoy conectada?
Sí, señora.
Buenas tardes.
Hola, Cristina.
Hola.
Si puedes, mira a ver si tú te puedes conectar. Ah, bueno, ¿ustedes están en computadora o en teléfono?
No, yo estoy en teléfono.
Mira a ver si lo puedes ver abajo donde dice inglés, español o un circulito que parece el mundo.
Conéctate en el teléfono, hijo.
Yo
A
creo,
ver.
yo no sé si los teléfonos le permiten a uno. We don't know if the phones are allowing them to go
Katy,
from the English to the
sí.
Spanish room.
Perdón por interrumpir, Katy. En los
Dime.
teléfonos hay una opción donde hay 3 puntos y dice más. Le hacen
Sí,
clic ahí a
cierto.
esos 3 puntos y van a salir muchas opciones y ahí también está la opción del circulito en forma del mundo y dice lenguajes.
Ah, ves, sí, cierto. Gracias.
Kathy, I can show it. So I think who's
Yeah, this
projecting Logan, can you stop
Nancy
screen
just shared
sharing and I'll
us
show?
how to look at it in the phone with the 3 dots.
Yeah, so
But Beth is the best. Beth nos va a enseñar porque ella sabe más que ninguna.
you're too nice. So on the phone, oh, I gotta
It's all
unblur my background,
it's all
sorry.
fuzzy.
Let me just
So, en
make
el
this.
teléfono abajo, que dice participantes,
phone,
conversaciones, hay 3
if you-
puntitos.
If you click on the 3 dots down here where it says more,
Sorry, we're speaking Spanish. We're trying to forward to the Spanish room, so we apologize for that.
and then
Teresa.
the circle with the lines is the interpretation. So you have to go to that circle. And it
Entonces
will
vas al
allow you-
círculo, ve dónde está señalando de la cámara de Trish, que es la señora que nos ha hablado hasta el momento. Donde está los iconos abajo, hay 3 puntos en la esquina. Donde ella tiene el dedo, le haces a esos 3 puntos, seleccionas y ahí dice español, inglés.
Y los que no tenemos esa opción y que es en computadora, que
Beth,
podemos
can you
hacer?
go back to the first?
Yes. So
Okay,
when you're
entonces
on
ahí
this
está,
first, when
ahí
you're on this,
está la que
screen,
estamos viendo todos, ¿verdad?
there's just dots, but if I tap in the middle, just tap once, it makes the menu come up. Once
Abajo
the
del
menu's
teléfono
there,
salían primero un montón de puntitos. Pero si pones tu dedo en el centro, oh, me estoy viendo yo misma, qué horror. Se pone entonces los iconos. De ahí los tocas, donde dice, is it the first one that says language?
no, it's the second one. First is
La
chat, second
segunda
is,
dice lenguaje o
Mhm.
idioma. La segunda opción.
Por favor, haga mute.
¿Esto es para la persona que lo pidió para ponerlo en el teléfono o para mí que te pregunté que mi computadora no tiene ninguna opción de esas?
¿No tienes 3 puntitos?
No, porque yo estoy en una computadora y mi computadora no tiene ninguno de esos.
Cuando le haces con el mouse hacia abajo, 3 puntitos no tienes.
Y no tengo.
Disculpa, pero ya pasó mucho tiempo. ¿No pueden después enviar la información por correo en español?
No, usted no puede traducir. No sé.
Tienen a 230 personas esperando.
Sí, señora. Somebody is just asking if we can continue and maybe I can help these ladies that they cannot go to the Spanish room while we go.
I
Well,
think
we
that's fine,
continue.
Kathy. And I'm recording this meeting, so what we can do is I can give you the recording and maybe we can do a voiceover in Spanish. Because I'm sure there's others that couldn't be here.
Si quieren, también lo que podemos hacer es anoten mi teléfono y yo, eso lo estamos grabando y yo se los puedo pasar a ustedes.
Ah, ok, entonces
Lo voy a poner aquí en el chat,
español y
¿ok?
no podemos tener.
No se pueden, no se salgan, quédense por si tienen preguntas con mucho gusto. Pero como van
Pero
avanzando,
pues,
voy a
¿de qué
poner
vale
aquí,
la pena?
perdón,
Están hablando cómo vamos a preguntar y tener
se me está acordando todo, perdón.
pregunta. Que te pregunto yo, que no sé nada de inglés, ¿verdad? Disculpa que no sé nada. ¿Cómo voy a preguntar algo y cómo me lo van a contestar? Yo no sé de qué se trata tratando la conferencia.
Si quieres, ponlo en el chat y yo te lo contesto.
Esa es mi pregunta, por eso te digo que pues yo tomo la opción de salirme y ya cuando tú me lo traduzcas, pues ya entonces ya pregunto a un maestro o a alguien más aparte.
Sí.
El
campamento tiene un costo.
Ok, está bien, así está
Le
bien.
vamos a ayudar todo lo posible, no se preocupe.
Disculpen por mi,
Excuse me. Kathy, do you
por el
think we
retraso,
could,
por mi culpa.
Kathy, do
Continúen.
you think we can proceed? Is there maybe a
Yes.
phone number that you guys can connect with?
Yeah, I just put it in the chat.
Okay. Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Katy,
Señora,
¿el campamento tiene un costo?
ya, sí, ahorita te lo explicamos.
Ok.
Van a seguir con la reunión y yo eso te lo contesto ahorita, Cristina.
Ok.
All right. Thanks everyone for your patience. We will record it and get information out in Spanish as well. I know there's a lot of people who couldn't make it tonight. I think we can proceed, Logan.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kathy, for helping us out there, and thanks everybody for your patience. But yeah, to get back to the PowerPoint here, we and for those, some people that maybe have joined late, we are going to do a Q&A at the end for all the questions that are popping up. So on setting the mood, at the end of that hike, we are going to end up at one of our many high points on the property. One of these high points, you can see this girl here sitting on top of a bluff. They're asked to sit silently for 10, 15, 20 minutes and take time to just be quiet in nature. They write down an original thought that they're having when they're in that spot. And this special spot is something that people who have not been to high trails since they were little kids, adults that they come to these meetings will often tell us that they still remember where their special spot was and remember exactly what it was like. So it can be a really impactful time.
Awesome. Thanks, Logan. That Logan and I have is one of them that we're so lucky to work with and will be coming to camp. Our teachers, as you can see in this slide, are not only a part of the cabins in that front living room that I mentioned when I was talking about the cabin space, but are also, they also accompany the different discovery group tracks, like Setting the Mood, which are our outdoor learning adventure tracks that we're going to talk about a little bit more now. Here you can see with a wig on, that's our staff member. Our staff members get very into teaching these discovery groups. We teach through inquiry, asking those big questions, and we also teach through, for a lot of the discovery groups, role play. You'll see in the background there, we have several of our high school counselors that Logan was talking about earlier who support the learning, sometimes are stepping into those roles and those characters in costumes and using accents, and teach these incredible discovery groups. We're gonna highlight a couple of those discovery groups. We have several, and so we'll just talk about some of those as we go.
So one of those is prospectors. This is our geology lesson. This is one of my personal favorites. We invite the students to go on a quartz rush with us, where we go and look for different types of quartz. We talk about Pikes Peak granite and the different minerals that make up that rock. We'll also talk about the rock cycle and take a trip to our crystal beds, where this lucky young man found a very cool looking crystal.
Another discovery group here that you'll see is trappers. We have our students go out into nature, build some structures out of those found natural items, as you can see here, working on some bridge structures, and they also explore the different fur trade histories.
Another discovery group is mountaineers. On this discovery group, we will talk about survival skills in the outdoors. We'll talk about the 7 principles of leave no trace. We will do some orienteering, a little bit of rock scrambling, talk about how to survive in the wilderness with the 10 essentials as well.
Here, a student is looking carefully at one of our many aspen trees at camp as a part of our Woods Folk discovery group. This discovery group explores the different trees that we have on property, the uses of those trees, and also looks into some of those forestry principles.
Students might also go on homesteaders. This is our discovery group history lesson on the Homestead Act and the journey west for many Americans during the 19th century. And these students here are pulling our hand cart out to the homestead, the Quicks Homestead, which is an authentic 1890s homestead that's been renovated on our property. And if anyone has ever played the Oregon Trail computer game, it's sort of like a live action version of that game, where they are in family groups and they have different resources they have to trade and pay for and make the journey west.
As a part of our program at camp, which students love. As you can see here, one of those activities is climbing up our 4-story treehouse. Sometimes our students are playing some games out in the field. They might be on our sport court. We have some lower energy activities in our rec time normally. Maybe it's in the craft barn or reading some books and reading in one of the groves.
We'll also do an evening program at the end of each night after dinner. This building right here is our inter barn, or our interactive barn. This is sort of an interactive museum, is how you can think of it. Our staff and the high schoolers will do skits to introduce their different learning stations to the students. And all of those learning stations are very interactive, very hands-on. We'll talk about different animal furs of animals they might find in the property. We also have a really amazing rock collection from rocks from all over the US and abroad. And we also have a augmented reality sandbox where it projects the image of a topographical map. And if you change the shape of the sand, the contour lines will change to fit that sand.
Now, the programs that we're talking about are in May with Summit County. So we're hoping during that time, we can run one of our other evening program opportunities, which is our night hike. Here you see some students really enjoying seeing that night sky without any light pollution, exploring some of those different constellations, learning about our senses at night. And also for a lot of students, it could be the very first time they see the Milky Way. At the
Go ahead.
Oh, at the end of our week, when we're finished with all of those exciting activities that Logan was sharing, we do some reflection and we do some connections up on the rocks. This is our formation called Sunday Rocks. And this is where students get to really connect with their experience that they've had at camp. This is something that they might be lucky enough to hear Logan playing the guitar or one of our other staff members really helping to wrap up that whole experience.
And before you know it, it is time to load back up on the buses and head back up to Summit County. we will take this opportunity to say, please pack with your students. So you do not end up like this poor woman here. Please let the students know how to roll a sleeping bag, what everything in their bag is that they have. So oftentimes students will not even know they have a warm hat or a pair of gloves or something that would have been really nice out on the trail. So make sure your students know what they have in their bag and know how to get it back in there at the end of the week.
We just are so thankful to have Summit County back up at camp. We're so excited to connect with all of these different schools, to have 4th and 5th grade joining us, and to really share that camp experience and all of the beauty that we have up at High Trails with you all. Logan, do you want to touch back on our principles up at High Trails?
Absolutely. So again, if you missed the beginning, our vision and mission statement at High Trails includes 4 main goals. The first of those goals is to develop a sense of the earth, which comes from spending time on our large property.
It's exploring that sense of community, connecting with peers and classmates, teachers, in a way that truly can only happen in the outdoor classroom and in nature.
Also to develop a sense of self, which can come from stopping to notice the petals on a flower that's blooming in early spring. And this flower is actually a pasque flower, which is one of the first flowers that will pop up in the spring. So very likely that y'all will get to see some.
And last but not least, that sense of wonder. We really believe in the magic of camp, the magic of exploring what we love to call the 6th sense, and that experience that can happen in the outdoors, in nature, and in our wilderness of wonder. All right. This last slide for you all with the beautiful Pikes Peak in the background is a direct link. The QR code is a direct link to our website. Our website is listed there as well, htoec.org. And then you'll see my email and Logan's email. Trish is an awesome resource and has been phenomenal for us at Summit County with school-specific things. I know she'll be the person to go to. For Logan and I, this is our email, so that if you have specific camp questions after we finish the Q&A tonight, we share this so that you know you have a connection to us and a connection to that information. Also, most of the slides that we shared with you, we have much more detail on our website. So if you have questions about some of those specifics, our packing list is on our website in English and in Spanish. We have lots of those small details, like I said, with health and wellness, and all of that is also located on our website. All right. I'll leave this up for just a few more minutes. Trish, I'll hand it over to you. Thank you so much. Also, a huge thanks to Kathy for all your help. And I'll leave this up for just another minute or two. If you would like to, Trish, take over facilitating that Q&A.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, you guys. Just a reminder, I've been trying to mute. If you could check your device, make sure that you're on mute, unless you're actually presenting. Thanks so much.
And Kathy, if you're listening, I think some of those folks that are not muted might be Spanish speakers.
Pongámosle el micrófono, apaguemos el micrófono a los que lo tienen abierto, por favor. Gracias.
Awesome. Thank you. One question that's a real common question is asking about students and how often they're intermixed. And that's one actually I don't mind answering myself. Students are intermixed from all 5 schools, both in the cabins and in the discovery groups. As the lead teacher on this, what I've always done and what I'm recommending to other teachers is that we do put students with their friends. Typically, I take a little list. I'm gonna write down 2 or 3 names of people that you want to be with in a cabin. And if your friends write down the same names, then I'm gonna know that it's a solid group. And so the classroom teachers kind of work with that, but we absolutely want the kids with their friends. But it is not segregated by school or by class. which is a great advantage when we get to middle school and you get to see people that you've met in High Trails, or maybe at camp you are seeing friends that you've met from sporting events and teams and things like that. So it's a mix of both. Lots of questions about technology, and so specifically Apple Watches, Kindles, and then toys and books. And so I think I'm going to let you guys have that one.
Yeah, great questions. We get the Apple Watch question pretty often, and the short answer is we recommend not bringing it. Number one, because it does tie into the whole avoiding screens, connecting with community, connecting with the earth. All of those parts of our mission statement are pretty much directly affected by any of those screens. The second part of that is that oftentimes when students have brought them in the past and we didn't know about it, or they maybe kept them a little bit secretive, we find out about them because they end up either lost or broken. That's not very uncommon that a kid leaves very upset that their Apple Watch or their phone has been lost or broken when they're out hiking around and scrambling on rocks and things like that. So, obviously we can't stop anyone from doing anything. We strongly recommend that you don't send anything like that up there. Kindles, e-readers, there's not a ton of time to just be sitting in the cabin reading anyways. If it's something that like reading 5 minutes before bed really helps them, and it's just the Kindle and you trust your child to just use it as that, that's we'll leave that one up to you, I guess, for the e-readers, but generally screens are not encouraged. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, thank you. Kind of more questions along that line about phone calls home. I'll let you just address
For
that.
phone calls home, yeah. So I mean, I think our total number of students is pushing upwards of 300, maybe even closer to 400 over the course of those 2 different sessions coming up. Obviously, without anyone having their own cell phone, to get everyone to call parents back home is not realistic. They'll be up there for 3 days. What we say is that if you want to give them some kind of encouragement or just have some kind of contact with them, they can definitely send letters up. You can send it up like the week before and have it arrive whenever they're here, and they can open that and read that. They can also send letters home and won't get back until they're there anyways. But yeah, I mean, realistically, tying into the sense of self, it's not something that we are one, able to do with that many students here, and two, it is part of the experience that they get to be up here and be just with their classmates and get a little bit of growth in their individualism while they're here.
That's awesome, thank you. What do you think about cameras specifically?
Yeah, if they want to bring up, like, we recommend the little throwaway film cameras, little digital disposable cameras, excuse me. You can still buy those at Walmart or Walgreens and get those developed on the way back. Any really nice or digital camera, again, kind of falls into the camp of those tend to get lost or broken, and anything that you would be upset that didn't come back with them, I would keep at home. But yeah, if they want to take some pictures, and if you're okay sending the digital camera, that's up to you.
Great. At one point, I think something was mentioned about a background check, and I'm not quite sure that I heard that portion. So I'm not. The question.
Yeah, I saw that question pop up in the chat as well. I wasn't even actually sure what it was, like a CBI, but the FBI background check is what we do with all of our staff. They do go in and get the fingerprints and get those sent in, and we clear them that way.
All right, very good. Lots of questions about the packing list that is on the website. Classroom teachers will send that home. It is available in English and Spanish. A specific question about experience with kids with autism, and also other kids who are anxious around bedtime. And so how do we deal with, home alone anxiety or away from home anxiety, or specific needs like autism?
Yeah, so to address the homesick portion first, You know, lots of kids get homesick when they come up. Teachers get homesick when they come up. Our staff get homesick when they come up, and that is part of camp. And that's something that we deal with on a daily basis, and something we're very comfortable with dealing with. You know, it can be challenging for students, and some students more than others. And our staff in particular, we hire people that have a lot of experience working with kids in those situations specifically. And honestly, our MO is to just make sure that the students are engaged in what we're doing. Like I already said, our programming is kind of one thing after the other for the whole time that they're here. And they have a lot of fun. And the students that tend to get hung up, we can, again, have them write letters home, or you know, talk to one of our staff, or to one of us, me or Cody or Lou, who's on our leadership team, about it. And we kind of just help them get through it. And it can be a really awesome and powerful experience for those students to work through that while they're here. In terms of the autism and students with special needs, that is definitely a case-by-case basis. We have had students with special needs come up. We have had students come up with paras. In rare cases, we do have students come up with parents. It's something that would be a conversation with me or Cody, and probably with you as well, Trish, about how that would work and what that would look like. But that is something we've done in the past. So if your student, whoever asked that question, is really wanting to come up, and you want to work with us on how we can make that happen, we're here to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. When I introduced myself, I forgot to mention that I think this is my 9th year coming to High Trails. And in that time, I have just seen so many differences and so many wonderful experiences. So I am very excited about it, and I'm pretty confident in the ability to make it work for everyone, which is, I think, kind of is the best part of it. A question about kids getting sick while they are there.
Kids that get sick, as I said, we have the 3 nurses. If it's something where they just have an upset stomach, and you know, we've got plenty of beds in the health center where they can stay overnight. If it's something that seems like it's going to persist for a while, that often is a situation where, you know, parents will come and get the student, at least whenever we're working with schools in Colorado Springs when it's closer. With Summit being a little bit farther away, that might be a case-by-case basis. But you know, if it's a situation where the student needs to, you know, be taken to the hospital or anything like that, then we've got protocols set in place for that. But yeah, most of the time it's students need a little bit of water, they've got a headache or a stomach ache, and they're just a little dehydrated, and 9 times out of 10 that just drinking a little water and eating some food gets them back out there.
Yeah, and some of that is, I think, like really beneficial with water and sunscreen, all those little reminders. Teachers are going to be, we're there the whole time, and so we'll work on those reminders with kids as well, keeping them safe and healthy. There's a question about the different programming, and if kids can opt in for that, or if they are done on a rotation.
Yeah, and that's something, you know, we'll work with you on, Trish, is the discovery groups that they're actually doing. They'll get to do, I think, 3 different discovery groups. You rotate them through our staff members in the high schoolers that are teaching those lessons. The rec time is something that they choose, and there's always a big selection of those programs to choose from. The evening program, everyone will do the inner barn. I think everyone will either do the night hike or the folk dance, which we didn't even talk about. So I think we'll probably do the night hike. But yeah, those discovery groups, they'll get to choose at least one, I think is what you had said before, Trish, that they really want to do, and then we'll try to get them on, and then you know, we'll work out the other 2 as we need to.
Yeah, there's a question about bringing your own sleeping bag. Yes, absolutely, bring your sleeping bag. That's on the packing list.
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
Well, and just to add on to that, yeah, the typical sleep setup is a sleeping bag as well as a pillowcase. So we have pillows provided, but to just slide a pillowcase over that pillow that has a cover on it is ideal, and that's what we recommend bringing. And the sleeping bag doesn't need to be like a 0 degree. As we said, the cabins are heated, so any cheap Walmart sleeping bag will do.
Yeah, wondering about
question.
other
Sorry,
schools
I
going-
put it in the comments twice. Do the students need to be vaccinated, COVID vaccinated, to go to High Trails?
No, so that is that is through the school district, so that we don't even know, we have no way of knowing even what students are vaccinated. So
Excuse me if I can interrupt. So can we bring our own snacks to be able to eat something like substantial, like jerky and stuff?
I'll address that one. Great question. I will, just so we don't get people talking over each other, just continue to type those into the chat. But for snacks, that's a great question. We do actually ask that you don't bring any snacks for a few reasons. One being that if you bring up a snack that has nuts in it, or something that is extremely, someone else might be extremely allergic to, that can cause some problems having that in the cabin. So that's the main issue. The second issue
Daddy's taking a
is
shower. Wait down here. Go get your toys.
there are a lot of critters that are living around the cabins, in the woods near the cabins, that are also very interested in those snacks, that might want to come into the cabin if you have a bunch of snacks. So please, unless you want the squirrels and everyone coming in to get your granola bar, please don't bring those.
There is a question also about alternative food for common food allergies.
Yeah, as Cody mentioned, we have a vegetarian option for every meal. We also have staff members that are gluten-free and dairy-free and all of those. So it's common that we'll have those options for students as well. There's a spot on the med form to fill out any dietary needs. If you send that in, our nurses coordinate with our kitchen coordinator, who will reach out to you and check in. And some students, if they have really high dietary needs, will even bring their own supplemental food that we keep in our walk-in cooler, and they can come in and work with our kitchen staff to get set up each meal.
Good. And I know someone was wondering about the two different grade levels. 5th grade will go together on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and 4th grade travels together Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They are together. And so 5 of the elementary schools are going, and it is a 4th grade trip and a 5th grade trip separately. Yes, and so there's an important question about over-the-counter medications like Advil and a doctor's signature for those.
Yeah, I believe there is a section on the med form that lists out like 6 of those like really common over-the-counter meds, and you just need a parent sign off for that. That allows basically our nurses to administer those as they see fit. Students come in with a headache or something like that. If that's not signed off, our nurses are legally not allowed to do that. So please make sure you do fill that out. But beyond that, if it's not a prescribed medication and it's not on that list, we can't get it. But those 6 items are the most common ones that usually come up.
There was a question also about masks. Should students bring masks just in case?
That's a good question. Cody, are you still on? Okay, so I think we're kind of, oh, go ahead, Cody.
Sorry, I was just gonna share, I know that the busing policies, and Trish, maybe you can speak to what Summit County is referring to with bus policies, but as far as camp, it's what students are most comfortable with. We're an extension of the classroom. Oh, my video wasn't on. We're an extension of the classroom. And so what Summit County protocols are, we will honor at camp. And then of course with students' comfort level as well. But Trish, what is the bus situation with Summit County?
No. We actually just went mask-free on our buses.
Okay.
So school buses. Our school buses are now mask-free. That's a new development.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So pretty great.
And then Kathy, I'm going to ask for you real quick. There was a question about what can we take? And so if you can just in Spanish, and it was asked in Spanish. So can you let them know that the packing list is going to come from teachers, but it's also on High Trails website?
Sí, a los que preguntaron cuáles son las cosas para llevar, que empacar, todo eso está en la página de High Trails, y también los maestros enviarán esos listos a la casa con los alumnos.
I think I'm kind of coming down to the end of the questions. Oh, one important question though about high school kids who are interested in volunteering. And so that information, to my understanding, has been posted in some of the Google Classrooms. I know the high school counseling department is working on that. And a couple of the elementary principals are working on coordinating high schoolers. We absolutely need more high school volunteers to come along on the trip. A lot of them who are coming loved it so much in 4th grade that they couldn't wait to come back, which is really cool. And so if you have an older sibling who is interested in also attending High Trails as a counselor, they should check with the counseling office at the high school. Or they could even check with their siblings' classroom teacher. Those people will filter to me. But we definitely are looking for more high schoolers to come along. And so siblings that are interested, you are absolutely welcome. Is that one?
When do we need to sign up for?
Yeah, and so classroom teachers are going to send home the permission slips and the medical forms very soon. We're going to have all the paperwork gathered in April. So a couple of weeks before the actual trip date, we're going to have everything collected. So those are going to be coming home in the next week or so.
Where can I find the recording for spouses?
And this meeting is being recorded. And then what I'm going to do is send this meeting out to the 4th and 5th grade teachers so that they can then pass it along to families that are not in attendance or maybe have missed the beginning of this. I'll also suggest that they post it to their Google Classrooms. That way kids can access it as well. Awesome. Yeah, and kind of a question about do kids get to go no matter what? And we want everyone to go. High Trails is for everyone. Each school is responsible for their own fundraising, and each school is going to have scholarship opportunities. And so if that is a situation that a family is in, absolutely talk to your classroom teacher, talk to your school secretary. The policy is everyone goes, and we always work it out.
Financial help.
Yeah, and so for financial help, talk to your school, your classroom teacher. As far as a cancellation, if somebody ended up not going, then I don't think we would require you to pay for it. So absolutely not. Typically, I think we're invoiced when we all come home, right? After we have the actual number of attendees. Yeah. Yes, you only pay if you come. I think there was a question possibly about changing clothes. And so in the cabins, there is absolutely a restroom, there's shower areas. So I think students can make the choices that make them most comfortable. And another question about transportation. We travel from the schools. Each elementary school will have its own bus, and we will have some high schoolers assigned to that bus. And so we will travel by Summit School District bus.
Chaperones, will they be needed and how are they selected?
Yeah, and for chaperones, typically we do try to fill in the chaperones with school district employees. There have been situations occasionally where we've had a parent that's typically more of a child with a particular need. That is something that you could post with your classroom teacher. Oh, and a question about picking students up. And so I'm glad someone asked that, because I'll recommend that to the classroom teachers. Typically what I do, so that the camp is in Florissant, Colorado, and so southeast of Summit County. And usually what I do is call the school. I'm from Summit Cove, so I'm in Dillon. I usually call the school when I'm on Hoosier Pass. And then the school secretary knows that we're coming. We usually get back about 2 so that the buses can complete the afternoon route for the middle school and the high school. But at my school, what we do is tell parents, yeah, you can check with the office and they can send a message out and say they're on their way. They should be there, whatever it would be, 1:30, 2 o'clock, something like that.
They also have to bring their kids that morning, right?
Mhm. Oh, and the morning, that's a good question too. The day that we leave for High Trails, kids are going to have a lot of equipment with them. They're going to have their sleeping bag and all of the things that they've packed. That is a great day to drop your student off at school. Typically on the buses, we don't fill that up with gear. And so that's a good day to drive your kid or make arrangements with someone else so that they don't have all of their equipment on the school bus that day. Yeah, and so cabins are by gender. They're actually a really good distance apart. The kids seem to really like to know that they are far apart from each other. So they are by gender and mixed by grade. And so girls from 5 schools will be together in those cabins, as will the boys. All right.
As 5th graders from other schools going separate, so I would mention that on the bus, they're separate, but they're together.
Yeah, and so 5th graders, there was a question about 5th graders in riding the buses. The 5th graders are going to travel with their school, with their classes, and then at camp we will be intermingled. Oh, good question. Can high schoolers pick the grade level they want to volunteer with? I'm going to guess and say yes. This is kind of the first time we've ever had both grade levels, but I cannot see why anyone would say no to that. We're so
Yeah.
happy they're coming. Yeah.
Yeah, if that, yeah, they can definitely choose, and we can work with them on that for sure.
Yeah. We're thrilled to have them. All right. I'm going to go ahead in the chat and include the link for the website. And I'm going to include both Logan and Cody's email if perhaps you had a question that is of a more personal nature that you would like to address in that way. And then in the meantime, if something comes up, you can always check with your classroom teacher. We have teachers that have not been, but at every school we have teachers who have attended High Trails. And it is one of those things, once you see it, and have experienced it, you definitely have a good feel for it. So I'll put those 2 things in the chat now. Hopefully I didn't miss anything.
Sorry, you broke up, Trish. Were you asking if I had anything to add?
No, sorry about that. I was saying, hopefully I didn't miss any questions or concerns that were in the chat.
Yeah, as she said, if you have any more personal questions you don't want to project to the whole group, feel free to send me or Cody an email on those emails listed. And we're very excited to have Summit up. Can't wait for it to be May.
Logan, really quick, there's a question in the Spanish that says, who's going to stay with them during the night, or who stays in the cabin during the night? ¿Quién se queda con ellos en la cabaña durante la noche? Preguntó alguien.
So the teacher chaperones will be in those middle rooms you saw where the fireplace is overnight for overnight supervision, as well as the high schoolers will be in the cabins as well.
Ok, en las cabañas se quedan los maestros que van con ellos, los chaperones, y si hay algún estudiante de secundaria que también se esté con ellos, se quedan ahí mismo, ahí donde vieron el área cerca de la chimenea, ahí donde se quedan.
Very good. Someone asked about when payment is due. Each school will send home their invoices kind of on their own timeline. And so that would be a question directly for your school. We typically at my school try to collect before the trip because we need to pay High Trails, of course, in a timely manner as well. But again, I feel like that kind of question could probably go directly to your school, especially if there's a scholarship need. Awesome. Thanks everyone for coming. I'm super excited about this opportunity. I'm glad that we get to come back to High Trails and make it happen also for our 5th grade students. Yeah, and if anything else comes up, again, reach out to your classroom teacher. You can reach out to me. My name is Trish Winter. Yeah, thanks everyone for coming.
Muchas gracias a los que siguen con nosotros de este lado por haber venido a la reunión y cualquier otra pregunta, pues yo no las sé todas, pero le puedo preguntar a la señora Trish, que es la encargada, y yo puse mi teléfono, o si no, con la maestra directamente de cada alumno, de cada alumna. Ella es la que tiene también las respuestas. Buenas noches.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trish. Thanks, everybody.
You bet.
Bye.
Love.
Bye.
Bye.
Katy,
Señora.
el campamento tiene un
Adiós.
costo. ¿Cómo le va a hacer uno?
Sí, señora. A usted le mandaron, Cristina, para que vendieras de las trenzas de pan, de casualidad. Y si no pudiste vender ninguna, puedes hablar con la maestra directamente de tu niño o niña y decirle que necesitas, pues, una beca. Ellos tienen también, porque si no el costo es de, si te toca pagar todo así sin pedirle ayuda, son 190.
Es que yo tengo 2 niñas. En cuarto y en quinto son 2 niñas.
Y ¿cuáles son las maestras?
No recuerdo su nombre, Katy. Yo mañana le mando preguntar yo a la maestra para ver qué me dice.
Sí, ellos están en Silverton, ¿verdad?
No, están en la de acá de Cristo.
¿En Samikov?
Sí.
Hey, Trish. Espérate, Cristina. A mí se me olvidó que estabas en Samikov. Trish, Christina has 2 girls, one in 4th grade, one in 5th grade. So she definitely needs some to talk to you or the teachers about maybe some aid,
Okay.
because it's a lot.
It is a lot.
So
Absolutely.
how do you like her to proceed? I mean, should we call you?
I think she should start with her classroom teacher. Each
Okay.
school has done their own fundraising. And honestly, each school's PTSA kind of organizes scholarships. So
Okay.
that part I can only answer for my school, but each school has these programs.
Yeah, and she's from your school, so
Oh, okay.
I guess I will
perfect.
call tomorrow.
Yeah, that sounds great. And yes, we can totally talk.
Okay. Cristina, yo te llamo mañana y hablamos de eso, yo te ayudo. I think she muted herself.
She said Christina.
Cristina.
¿Sería todo esto de la junta ahorita ya?
Sí, yo mañana te hablo para verlo a las maestras.
Ok, muchas gracias.
Ok, hasta luego.
Bye. Ay, me quemo. Ay, me quemo.
All right. Are there any other questions or concerns? All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you so much, everyone.